for joining us on another episode of Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinito. We are streaming live on UBC U24, and you can find the conversation on today's episode on our Twitter space at Your Space Uganda. Now, with me today this Sunday is an interesting panel. You are going to love the conversation we have for you this Sunday. I'm going to start the introduction with the gentleman at my extreme end. Hello, who are you and welcome to the show. How has your week been?
My week has been great. It had some few rigidities here and there, but it was great. It was a good one. Yeah, I'm looking to a great week this coming week. Yeah.
Who are we speaking to?
I was speaking to Joshua Kiza Liganyira. I'm a development economist by training, and I have interest in economic development and economic growth of a country. Yeah.
Nice to have you onto the show. And one of our usual suspects.
I was about to say it.
Oh, you're about to say usual suspects as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Hannah, for having me.
How's your week been?
My week has been splendid.
Okay.
I've not had the obstacles that he has had.
Yeah.
I've had a wonderful experience in school. Yes. My name is Joel Sakwa. I'm a student of law at Makerere University.
Yes, Dr. Patricia, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Good evening, viewers. I am Patricia Achano Kiria. I work as Deputy Inspector General of Government. My week has been action-packed, I would say, with a number of activities and events to attend to. But by God's grace, we are able to manage.
We thank God for that. My week has been fantastic, and starting the coming week with you even makes it much better. Today's conversation, we are going to be shining a spotlight on youth-led solutions to corruption. And I've been getting a lot of feedback on social media that, Hannah, we want you to be more direct when it comes to what we can actually do or what some of the people in the different spaces are doing. And that is why we have this diverse panel with us today. What are youth-led solutions? Sakwa.
First of all, we would agree that the generation that we have right now is more of the young people. So the solutions that we shall be talking about will apply to the majority of the population, about 70% or more. So youth-led solutions. You know, youth, we are known for the vibe, the energy, okay, the charisma. We are people who use our bodies. We use our bodies. We may not have a lot of resources at our disposal. Of course, we shall talk about that. But majorly, what the small things that are at our disposal, we put them to use to see that we resolve the challenges that are affecting our world. And in this show specifically, we are looking at corruption. And we need solutions that you that is watching me, that is 35 years or below, even a little bit older, that solution that you will be able to relate to. So that is what you can do from your home, in your school, where you work. There are young people that have places that have work. So those solutions that you can easily relate to.
Okay. By the time we're even talking about youth-led solutions and corruption, that means that there is an impact that corruption has on the opportunities and aspirations of young people. Joshua, do you agree that corruption actually hinders aspirations of some of the young people in the country currently?
Yes, I strongly agree. And that's importantly in 4 different ways. Acquisition of quality education, health, entrepreneurship, and employment. For any country to go or to achieve sustainable growth over time, they must be able to have a population that is having better standards of living. And one of the ways a country can be able to enjoy standards of living is the quality of the health and the education that those people have. So now, if we are looking at a country that is grappling with this vice of corruption, if I may have my figures right, a country where we are losing close to 10 trillion in corruption every year, then that means there is a lot that is being affected in the realms of education and health. ask yourself a question. What can 10 trillion do in extending quality health, education, job creation, and also supporting young entrepreneurs in business? A lot. So if we still have this vice and this outflow of 10 trillion in shillings in the name of corruption, I believe the young people are losing out a lot. They're losing out to quality education. They're losing out to quality health. They're losing out to exploring the various business ideas and the entrepreneur space in the country, because we are losing a lot of this money that would have been used in those specific spaces to improve service delivery and inclusive standards of living as well. So it's a big void.
Yeah. Finish up, sorry.
No.
Okay. So, and I think like even last Sunday when we had a conversation about the creative space, so many young people have a lot of energy and zeal, you know, to join the job market, and they're being stopped by the lack of provision by the public service offices in the country. Dr. Patricia, how has corruption blocked the opportunities of young people right now?
Thank you, Hannah. I would like to pick from where Joshua stopped. The young people are actually the victims of corruption. You heard about the amount of money we lose to corruption and what that money can do. The young people being the victims of corruption, and yet they're full of energy. We are calling upon young people, the youth, to join the war against corruption through advocacy, because they are the victims of corruption. The example you have just given, if they miss out on opportunities, like for employment, if there is nepotism and someone is employing only his or her relatives, then the youth are left out. If someone is taking bribes and they're paying him for these jobs, district service commission, then the young people are then suffering. And the majority of the population in our country are young people. And that's why we are saying, because they are the victims of corruption and they're the future leaders. Remember, we would like them to join the war against corruption and use that energy positively to be ambassadors of integrity in this country, to preach the gospel against corruption, so that we can impact positively on the other young people out there, so that they know that they are actually the victims and their responsibility to fight corruption is clearly in black and white in the Constitution. So if they own up the war against corruption and participate in debates or conversations like this, in advocacy, having integrity clubs, sharing ideas, disseminating information, because when we disseminate information, then other young people will be able to demand for accountability from an informed perspective. Because the young people, Hannah, are actually our key stakeholders in this war against corruption. If we are to change this country, Uganda, today, we need the involvement and active participation of the youth and young people out there, because they are the future leaders. And therefore, we expect that the young people will own the war against corruption by coming to report cases of corruption to the responsible institutions like the Inspectorate of Government. We expect that the young people, when they leave university, they will be willing to come and volunteer and work with the Inspectorate of Government and get hands-on knowledge on how to conduct investigations, on how to prepare a file for prosecution, on how. So I encourage young people, let us love this country, let's be patriotic, let's volunteer, so that when the right time comes, you have the skills, you have the competencies, and you can be employed in this institution to join the war against corruption.
Let's take a break. We're going to get back into that conversation. Keep your station here. Welcome back from that short break. We're still here on a conversation spotlighting youth-led solutions, looking at their challenges and how best they can solve them in the fight against corruption. Dr. Patricia, you brought in an aspect of advocacy, that the youth should engage more into advocacy. I have friends that have created some of the most amazing advocacy organizations. I think I can mention a couple of them, but it's not easy.
Yeah. There is nothing that is easy, Hannah. Everything, someone has to go the extra mile. Advocacy and meaningful anti-corruption debates like this are very significant, especially in the fight against corruption and propelling the youth. Because if we do this continuously, it can start small and then the fire catches and spreads all over the country. If we do this continuously and the youth and the young people out there pick it up, then they are able to speak out, they are able to name and shame, they are able to involve the others, and before you know it, we will have a total mindset change. People will boldly come and report cases, and even the cases will be minimized.
Yes.
Because now we will be dealing with people who are alert, who know their rights, who know their responsibilities in fighting against corruption. We will have a generation of people who will value and cherish the moral values. That is why when we talk about values, it is the foundation for everything. If we continue with this conversation of unpacking the values, then the youth will have moral values that drive their decisions, that drive their initiatives. Personally, I love to work with people who have integrity. So if I can identify someone who has integrity, who is skillful and knowledgeable, with a widened knowledge base, then it will be very exciting. So I encourage the youth out there not to give up, not to lament, but to take action and begin advocating, to take action and participate in debates and engagements such as this, to participate in sports, activities, music, entertainment, entertainment where there is a message. Not this entertainment of
Shake
what
your
happened
bum.
recently. What happened recently? Oh, nyege nyege. Meaningful entertainment where people are singing meaningful songs that promote value, that talk about patriotism, that encourage people to serve their country. Then we have engagements through the youth integrity camps, where people come together basically to learn about how they can be youth of value, of integrity, how they can promote transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption, how they can work with truthfulness, with humility, how they can impact the different spaces in their lives and be able to fight against corruption. Then corruption also requires collaboration with schools and universities. We have tried this as the Inspectorate of Government. We use the networks, the structures that are existing, and we're able to collaborate. For instance, when Makerere University was having orientation for freshers, I left everything I had on my desk to go and speak to the freshers and tell them about how they're supposed to be students with integrity, how their lives should be grounded with values and principles that will help see them through the university, which is quite important. Then integrity clubs and youth movements and raising awareness through music, dance and drama, competitions, essay writing competitions, and so on. So I think the youth can use their energy positively to have an impact because first of all, they have a big following, they're the majority, and like I stated, they're the future leaders and the biggest and significant stakeholders in the fight against corruption because they're also the biggest victims. When things don't go right, they're the ones who are suffering
The most.
Yes.
Definitely. I think I'll give a big shout out to some of the advocacy institutions done by the youth in fighting corruption. We have Kali, the Climate Action Leadership Incubator. We have Girls and Mentorship, and quite a large number of them. I'm going to go to Joshua. Joshua, for you as an individual, what are some of the innovative approaches that you have instituted within your area of specialization against the fight against corruption?
Some of the few innovative interventions that I can point to in the country on general is e-governance. You see, e-governance is a system where all components of the government, both at the local and national level, are centralized through an electronic reporting and an accountable platform. So the whole point of e-governance is one of the ways that we, or the country, has been able to have a grip on corruption. E-governance can also come with things like e-finance. Look at the way the government is handling resources from public universities like Makerere University, saying that let all these finances that are being collected in these public institutions be brought together in a centralized platform, which is URA. The only issue is that the people that are at the receiving end, URA, should also have the integrity to make sure that those funds that have been collected from those institutions are also rightly protected. So e-governance, I believe, is a very good innovation to, if used appropriately, is a very good innovation that can be able to put those checks and controls on the various arms of the government and all that. And then the other intervention that I can see that would be good for the controlling of corruption. You see, one of the problems that people face in the fight against corruption is retaliation.
Oh,
yes. It's a very big thing. And a study by Afrobarometer stated that in the sample they interviewed, 77% of the respondents were claiming that one of the reasons why they're not able to, for example, come out as whistleblowers and directly report the cases of corruption is because of retaliation.
Corruption fights back.
Because the whole point is, yes, I am going to point out and say, in my institution, there's this and this element that is, not handling resources right, not handling office right. But the question is, this person that I'm trying to put to the spotlight is powerful, both power and resources. So what assurance do I have that after I have, put this person on the spotlight, I am going to be protected, be safe, to be protected. So I believe one of the other things in which we can be able to have a grip on this virus of corruption as a government is putting in place legal frameworks that give assurance and protection to the people that are willing to come out and actually touch and point the people that are actually being corrupt. So the legal framework, and I think Senior Counsel can give a view on that, is one of the ways in which the government and the various bodies like the Inspectorate of Government can come to give us, the young people who are willing to report these cases, security, assurance, and faith that at the end of the day, it's all going to be well.
In my personal opinion, though, I feel like when somebody decides to stand against corruption, sometimes it is a matter of sacrifice. You sacrifice to stand in the gap.
Very tough.
Dr. Patricia,
I think it's
what
important.
Assurance?
It's important.
What assurance do we have?
Well, we have got the Whistleblower Protection Act,
we do,
which basically encourages people out there to come and report cases as whistleblowers. And the proceeds, if we manage to recover some money from that, 5% of that money goes to the person who reported, the whistleblower. But the challenge we are having is the example he has given. Sometimes people report and then they're not guaranteed of that protection, or the cover gets blown and so on. It's got to do with integrity issues. But also, if we had the witness protection law, we have it in the offing. The Ministry of Justice, First Parliamentary Council, is fast-tracking it with Law Reform Commission. But if that law comes into play, then we are going to be able to even protect our witnesses in respect to cases of corruption. Because someone can whistleblow a very good case, you begin investigating, but then the person who reported the case is not protected. So that person needs to be protected. The witness has got to be protected, because corruption fights corruption. Corruption is covered and covert and changes faces and forms and shapes like an amoeba all the time. So as the people who are involved in the fight against corruption, it calls for new innovative mechanisms in tackling it. That is why now we even lay traps. That's why you've heard about the lifestyle audit. That's why we have to think about methods of catching and trying to get the criminals as well. But another method which is very important, an approach that the young people can use in fighting corruption, is through the social media. Social media plays a very significant role, especially in this modern world today. And I saw it working. There was a case to do with the Civil Aviation Authority and how passengers were suffering, and someone just went and recorded something
on TikTok.
And it's circulated, and we took it on at our own initiative, got to have boardroom sessions and engagements with the responsible stakeholders, and something was done. So the young people out there can be creative and use social media even to report, even to blow up some of these cases, and then there's another thing called the civic engagement with political participation. The young people should come out and participate in politics. Because today, Uganda, we need responsible politicians of integrity. We need young people who are dynamic, who are knowledgeable on issues. We need people who can research and bring responsible debate, constructive dialogue. Because sometimes we see the caliber of the leaders we have and the kind of debates. You wonder, did this person read? Did he research? What quality of research did he bring out? So, and young people are dynamic with young brains. Yeah. So if they came on board, the Sakwas of this world can make a difference, and we'll have the Uganda we need with the young people participating in these engagements. Engagements with political participation, we will go very far. Social media, some of the things you are talking about, is it Twitter? And these other things, I think, can be TikTok and so on. So I think it can be a very, very useful tool because, yes.
Doctor, he brought in an interesting aspect of the law. Does the law protect whistleblowers? And if so, so many of us young people don't really feel enough trust when it comes to how the law works. It takes time.
The law does.
By the time they come to save you, you're in prison and you're broke.
The law does protect young people.
Yes, sir.
We have a good policy and institutional framework in place, but I think the enforcement of the law is where it is lacking.
Yes.
I think we need to disseminate these laws, first of all, the anti-corruption laws, so that the young people get to know what provisions are there, the spirit behind the law, and how they can come in to participate, because they have to come in from an informed perspective. Because there are some people who have information they want to share, but they don't know that they're supposed to protect themselves as well. Because you can't come and whistleblow, then you go out and begin saying, yes, I reported my boss. I reported him. Then you're blowing your cover, and tomorrow you'll be victimized.
Jobless.
So we need to start, the protection begins with protecting ourselves. Be patriotic, report, be confident about it, and protect yourself. And then the law will also protect you. And like we said, the law is there to reward the whistleblower for what he has done for the country.
You had something to say?
Yes, Joel.
No, I just wanted to emphasize on what you are saying, that the challenges that the people that tend to report these cases face. We've seen examples from other countries, and actually people that are in the institutions that do the audits, that do the lifestyle checks, are being victimized. And this talks to the very fact and testifies to the fact that this is actually a war. This is a war. I know the viewer may see and may think that this is just some scary, very, very, very cozy things. Yes, the law is there to make it easy for us. We are protecting the whistleblowers. We are putting their ways, legislative mechanism, the framework to ensure that you are protected. But as she said, it's very important for you to care about your safety. It's very important for you to care about your safety. In Nigeria, the lead of the anti-corruption agency, I was looking at a YouTube video. He was arrested. He was actually captured by the corrupt people, and they would come to him and tell him, you either take this money or we take your life. So we really, it's very important for you to take your safety as a priority. Also, Professor Lumumba was talking about some, because he was he headed a commission that was in charge of corruption, and of course it was disbanded, but he was telling us all through each and every single day there was a threat on his life. So this is a war. This is a war. I don't know, but it needs a person that is brave, a person that is brave enough, and the legal framework should be disseminated, as she said, so that we let the people know about these protections that are available for them.
Okay. Joshua, in just a couple of seconds, does that mean that somebody either decides to be the sacrifice of the people or not?
According to it goes back to the context of the country you're working or the economy you are dealing with. In a place where there is no distinctive ways of assured security, you must be able sometimes to come up and actually die for the people if what you're saying is actually authentic.
Patriot.
Yes, but yes, sure. If resources can accept, I believe the Inspectorate of Government is one of those institutions that need to be buffered with quite enough resources. All right, resources in the way that these people need their own court, these people need their own police force that they can use to protect these victims. The money that we invest in this directorate surely is way much less than what we are losing. Yeah. So if it's war, we must be able to come up with what we can to win this war.
It is war.
Definitely. Yeah. We're coming to the end of the show. I'm going to allow everybody to give their closing remarks. Dr. Patricia, let's be short.
When we go for war, we prepare ourselves. You get to know who the enemy is, and you strategize. As we strategize, in order to develop an integrity system, we need to be grounded, first of all, in values, in morals. So I call upon young people out there, let's embrace these values so that we are able to fight the war. Because the equipment, the artillery we have to fight this war against corruption in this country is values, is our ethical values and value system, which we need to work on. So we need to develop that integrity system within ourselves and be ambassadors of integrity and cause the mindset change in this country. Thank you very much.
Joel, let's keep it short and simple.
Every seed begets its kind. So if you want the next generation after us to have the values that we wish our Uganda to have, then we should be the first people to initiate those values.
Yes, Joshua.
All right. For a fact, it begins with each and everyone out there. Corruption is in families, it's in homes, it's in relationships. But my call to government is, some values like accountability and integrity are some of the things that may not come naturally to some people. So integrating some of the literacy, some of these values into these people at such a young age, be it primary level or secondary. I see there has been a change in the secondary curriculum. Integrating the education of some of those values, integrity, accountability, I think would be much important for those young people that may not have the opportunity of realizing and developing them themselves.
Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. My final remarks to you is, this is war, so get prepared. My name is Hannah Arinata. See you again next Sunday. Bye-bye.